guys what's on my face today for another look for this video. And I do have some thoughts about the eyeshadow. But so I primed my eyes with my ColourPop eye primer as usual, and then just used my Dewdrop lip oil, and then just set my eyes with my Pretty Fresh powder from ColourPop. And then I went in with the Lost in Wonderland palette, the Alice palette, and from ColourPop. And I'm kind of disappointed with the mattes in this palette. This is only my second look that I've done with the palette. And I definitely think that the star of the show of this palette is the shimmers. I don't really like the mattes in here pretty much at all. There's some that are better than others, but this color selection is too pale even for me to wear. So for someone that is like slightly darker than me that wants to get this palette, how are they going to be able to wear this by itself? Like, so let me just tell you guys what I used. So I tried to use That's Logic in the crease first as my crease shade. It barely showed up. Like, I thought it would come off at least like this color, because I wanted like a peachy green look, because I really like wearing peach and green together, or like orange and green. But it literally like barely showed up. So I went over it with That Way. And that one has more pigment to it, and I kind of like that the peach shade added some warmth to it first, so it kind of like worked out better. But these like 4 shades here, I mean, I definitely like the pink more than this one and this one. I think that these are awful mattes from ColourPop, honestly. I mean, they're a bit easier to work with than... Do I have hair? Yeah, I do. I think I just got it. Oh my god, I can't anymore. They're just very dusty, very powdery, but they do build up. Like, they're not like difficult to work with, but the reason why I get upset about ColourPop palettes sometimes that aren't to like the quality that I expect from them is because I know they can do better than this. Especially with the Disney palettes, it's usually not the Disney palettes that I have a problem with, because usually the Disney palettes are like the best formula from ColourPop, because they always put their great formula in their collab palettes. I just feel like this was a very rushed, tired way of putting a color story together, and it's just not really my cup of tea. I feel like it was more so Disney's selection of colors, because usually Disney makes the color stories. They design the palette, they design the color story, and ColourPop just provides the formula. But I don't know, it's just like kind of meh. Like, I don't really look forward to using this palette. I just want to test it out for you guys, and just so far I'm just not really that impressed. So, but then I put Mad Tea Party in the crease to define it more, and that shade is really nice. Like, I feel like that shade's gonna look really pretty in the crease, but I wanted to, use some shades first before I used that one. But I feel like these mattes are just so pale that I really don't feel like they're gonna last that long. So that's just my thought. I feel like they're gonna fade very fast. And then for my lid shade, I went in with the green, which is Stark Raving Mad. And I definitely think that the shimmers are the star of the show of this palette. They're really nice, very buttery smooth, very shiny and metallic. And this green shade is so freaking pretty. It kind of reminds me of one of the green shades in the Tinkerbell palette. I'm going to have to swatch those. But honestly, this kind of dethroned the Tinkerbell palette as being my least favorite Disney palette from ColourPop. And I think this one is now. I think they like the Tinkerbell palette even more. So that's saying something. And then for my lower lash line, I tried to go in with That's Logic again to give it another chance to see if I could get it to show up, and it didn't. So I just went in with That Way on the lower lash line. And then for the inner corners, I went in with I'm Late, and that shade is so pretty as well. It kind of tied in the look. I thought it was going to be like really white, but this is like that new glitter pearlescent glitter formula, and it has like a bunch of different colored glitters in it. It's like orange and green and white. It's so pretty. So And then that's all that I used from the palette. So the look does turn out pretty, but it's like, it's just frustrating when I know that ColourPop has more potential than this. That's why I'm so hard on their palettes. And then for the waterline, I used the BFF Cream Gel Liner in the shade Aglow. And it's like a metallic green shade. And it's pretty. I think it really tied in the look together, and I think it goes really nicely with this look. So it just took a little bit of building up. There's like hits and misses about some of the liners. Some of them work better than others. And then for the mascara, I just went in with the Essence Lash Primer on the top lashes, and then I went in with the Wet n Wild Mega Length mascara on the top and bottom. And then for my face, I went in with the Do It Spray, as usual, from Fourth Ray Beauty. And then I used the NYX Marshmallow Primer because I wanted to test the foundation that I'm wearing today with like a less glowy primer. And I'm not sure if I'm like in love with my T-zone. I mean, it still looks really good on this area, but I'm not sure about my T-zone because it's kind of looking very dry around here. So for my foundation, I used the Makeup by Mario foundation again in the shade 1C. This is the Surreal Skin foundation. This one is really, it's a really nice foundation. I really have been enjoying it, but I feel like it's not my all-time favorite, but it does make my skin look really good. So I do really like the foundation, but I find that there are other foundations that just work better with certain primers. Did I put it in by it like backwards? I don't even know. I don't even know which way is the top anymore. So yeah, but it's a really nice foundation. And then for the concealer, I used my Lancome Teint Idol Ultra Wear Concealer in the shade Neutral Ivory. And then for setting my under eyes, I used the Rare Beauty powder. And then for setting the rest of my face, I just went in with the Pretty Fresh powder again. And then for my bronzer, blush, and highlight, I went in with the Pat McGrath bronzer again in the shade Naked Desire. And I actually think that this color was really nice with the crease shade, so I think it worked well. But I do find that the foundation is kind of settling into my fine lines right now. Not like a huge fan of that, but this is such a nice bronzer, so it's just a very easy everyday bronzer. And then for my blush, I went in with an oldie but a goodie. This is the Bare Minerals Gen Nude Power Blush in the shade That Peach, though. This is actually the only Bare Minerals blush that I own. I found this at Marshall's like a year ago, and this is a really nice blush. So it's just a really pretty everyday peach blush, so I wanted to bring that out. And then for my highlighter, I used an oldie but a goodie Disney highlighter, and this is still my all-time favorite Disney collection from ColourPop. So I used the Horse and Carriage Cinderella highlighter. This was like the star of the show that everybody was talking about in the collection. It truly is a gorgeous highlight, and I thought it would be pretty because it has like a slight whitish, goldish green to it. It's such a unique shade. It's so beautiful. And then I just set my face again with the Do It spray. And then for my brows, I went in, actually I didn't go in with brow gel. We can just do that now. I'm just going to use my clear brow gel from ColourPop. So I'm just going to go in with that. I totally forgot. But that's okay. Like, my eyebrows are so thick at this point, and this brow gel is kind of dried out. I've just been too lazy to grab the new one in my bathroom because honestly, brows are like the step I like care about the least. But I know like people say like, oh, you should do your brows better because like it makes your makeup look better. I don't know how the hell I got hair over here, but here we are. And then for my lips, I went in with a discontinued lippy from ColourPop. This is the Disney Villains lipstick in the shade Hades, and this is like my all-time favorite peach nude from ColourPop. Why is there hair everywhere? I'm like shedding. I need a freaking haircut, but it's such a gorgeous peach nude shade, so I wanted to use that, and that's it. So I will see you guys tomorrow for the next look. I'm not even sure if I'm going to do makeup tomorrow, though. I haven't had one day of no makeup this year because I've just been testing out a lot of new makeup this year. I mean, like, I'm trying to slow down now, but All I'm doing tomorrow is my paper and staying home, so I don't know if I'm going to do makeup, but I might film a video. So yeah, I'm gonna go because I need to get to my boyfriend's house. So bye. Okay, so hey guys, so I wanted to tell you guys what's on my face for look number 2. So I actually really didn't do much today because I had to do more schoolwork, but I'm almost there. We are almost done with everything. I just have another like page and a half I have to do of this assignment that I started today. I did like a page and a half already. It only took me like less than an hour to type up. And then I just have to do the citations on my research paper, and that's it. And then I'll finally be done. So, tell y'all what's on my eyes today. So, I just used my usual ColourPop Party Proof Primer in the translucent, and then I just used my Dewdrop lip oil, and then for my eyes I just set them with, of course, my Pretty Fresh powder from ColourPop. And then I used quite a bit of ColourPop products today, but I wanted to film a my favorite neutral palettes with a twist video, and one of those palettes is the Plush Like Me palette that I included in the video, so I wanted to use this palette today. Also because I haven't used this palette in months. I did use it, I believe, once this fall, so I just haven't used it this year yet. And this is one of my favorite ColourPop palettes that I have. It was in my top 10 of my rankings, so I just wanted to whip it out and use it today. Sorry about blinding you guys, but I love this palette. So I wanted to kind of, pick up some of the colors on my Legends of the Hidden Temple shirt. I wear this sweatshirt all the time. So I used the Yellowish Matte first, and that's the shade Slip Dress. It's such a beautiful, like, mustardy yellow, but it kind of comes off a bit more like almost marigold on the eyes. It's so pretty. And then I darkened up the crease more with Velour, which is kind of a mid-tone peach shade. And then for the outer corners, I went in with these two shades. Flannel and Girl Band. Flannel is like a mid-toned dark brown, and then this one's like the darkest brown in the palette and the darkest matte. So I just wanted to add a bit more depth to the outer corners, so I mixed the two together. And then for my lid shade, I wanted to go in with the lightest shimmer in the palette, so I used the shade Video Night. I think the last time I used this palette, I used one of these two. I can't quite remember, but I usually use this as my inner corner highlight, but I wanted to use it on my lid today. And then for the inner corners, I went in with Throwback. And then for the lower lash line, I went in with the olive shade, which is called Dep, because I wanted to add a bit of a pop of green to kind of tie in these colors together, and I thought it turned out really pretty. I mean, I always love this. I always love the looks that I do with this palette. Oh, yeah, and then I went in with, what does this say? I can never read the names on here. Runway on the brow bone. So I use this palette for my entire look because there's even a brow bone highlight in here for me that's light enough. So I really love this palette. And I'm excited that I'm rotating more palettes in my collection that I haven't used in a while. That's like my favorite part, is going back. That's like my sometimes when I get the most excited to do my eyeshadow is going back into a palette that I know that I love that I haven't used in a while. Of course, I get so excited to use new palettes, and sometimes I can't wait to try them. But I love rotating palettes that I haven't used in a while. That's like definitely like the most excited that I get besides trying a new palette. And then for my liner, I went in with just my brown liner from LA Girl. This is just the shade brown. It's the LA Girl Perfect Precision eyeliner. And then for my lashes, I just went in with my Essence Lash Primer as per usual. And then for the mascara, I wanted to use the Milani Highly Rated Anti-Gravity Mascara. I haven't used this in a little while, and it's actually better than I thought. I just can't, like, kind of wipe off the excess, like, because sometimes, like, when I do my mascara, I'll, like, wipe off, like, and kind of take off some of the excess so it won't be as flaky. But with this one, since it's such a dry formula, you don't really need to do that. So it coated my lashes better because I didn't do that this time. And then I just went in with my Maybelline Lash Discovery on my bottom lashes. And then for my face, since I wasn't going anywhere today, I just went in with concealer and I just used my Maybelline Instant Age Rewind. Still one of my favorites. It still looks really good right now, so love this guy. And then I just set it with my Rare Beauty powder, and then of course I set the rest of my face with my Pretty Fresh powder from ColourPop. And then for the bronzer, blush, and highlight are all ColourPop as well. I went in with my just ColourPop Elviva Beach bronzer. Y'all know this is like my all-time favorite bronzer. So I just wanted to use it today, and this is like literally the bronzer I reach for when I don't have to think about it, and I love it so much. So I use this at least 3 times a week. And then for my blush, I went in with the coinciding blush that came out with the Plush Like Me collection, which is the blush sticks in the shade Mallrat. I don't know why this one doesn't have the shade on it. Oh, it's on here. Usually they put it on the top. And I love this. It's such a pretty, like, very wearable, everyday peach kind of shade. It's kind of faded a little bit because I've had it on for a couple of hours, but there was really no point of reapplying it because I'm going to take my makeup off soon. And then for the highlight, I just went in with an oldie but a goodie ColourPop one. This is the shade Here Kitty Kitty. It's like a mid-toned gold shade, and it's so pretty. I love the older powder formula from ColourPop. It's just so intense and shiny on the face. I wish that they would do more of the powder highlighters with collections rather than the Soul Body highlighters or the Super Shock highlighters, because the powder highlighters are my absolute favorite formula from ColourPop. They are so good. Their powders are just great. Y'all know I love them. And then I just went in with the Do It spray to set my face. And then I just went in with my Brow Boss gel from ColourPop, the clear one, for my brows. And then I just threw on the ColourPop Just a Tint lip crayon in the shade Z Boys, and I still love this formula. This basically reminds me of how the Tower 28 lip balms are, but these ones have even more like shine to them, and they're just so nice. And the lip crayons from ColourPop are a bit more pigmented than the Tower 28 one. So yeah, that's pretty much it. That's all that's on my face today. So I will see you guys tomorrow for the next look. Goodbye. Okay, so hey guys, so I wanted to tell you guys what's on my face today for another look. I'm not even sure what look I'm up to. I think it like might be 3 or 4. I'm not really sure. So I primed my eyes with the usual, the ColourPop Party Proof Primer, and then I just used my Pretty Fresh powder to set it, and I used my Dewdrop lip oil to hydrate my lips while I do my makeup. Why am I brain farting so bad? And then these past few days, I've just been on a ColourPop kick. I've just been wanting to go back into some palettes that I haven't used in a little while. So today I wanted to use the Lust for Dusk palette. This is one of my all-time favorite ColourPop palettes. I absolutely love this palette. I've raved about this palette so many times. And I just wanted to do a peach look, so I used these 5 shades. So I went in with Horizon in the crease, then I darkened up the crease more with After Dark, and then I used That's Neat on the outer corners, and then I went in with my favorite shade in the palette, which is Quiet Storm, all over the lid. It is such a beautiful bronzy color. It almost performs like a Super Shock shadow. It kind of really reminds me of Kathleen Lights. That was like the one that I was obsessed with. That was a Super Shock shadow, and that was like one of her first Super Shock shadows that she did. And then for the inner corners, I went in with Sunset Chaser, and then I just went in with the orangey shade again on the lower lash line, After Dark. And then I just popped on Blanc Type from MAC, which I usually always do on my brow bone. And yeah, I just love this palette. I really love this look. I love my eyeshadow every time I use this palette. But I did a neutral palettes with a twist video recently. I think I said that yesterday in my look that I did yesterday, and this palette was in there too. So it kind of re-inspired me to use some of those palettes again, because I was like, ooh, now I can use them. And then for my liner, I went in with Peach Fuzz from ColourPop, the cream gel liner. I really have been enjoying that shade a lot. And then I just went in with my Essence Lash Primer, and then I went in with the Item Beauty Lash Snack Lengthening Mascara. I haven't used this mascara in a while. I kind of forgot about it for a little bit. And then I watched Lauren May's beauty recent video, and okay. Sorry. I watched her recent video, and she did a video on makeup brands that are dead, and she used like all the products from like discontinued brands or brands that don't exist anymore. And Item Beauty was recently pulled from Sephora like last month, I think, or like a couple months ago. And I don't know why I never picked up the full size then, because it was on sale for like such a good price. And this mascara isn't even a pricey mascara to begin with, so I don't know why I didn't pick it up. I just didn't think about it. So, and then I just went in with my Lash Discovery on the bottom lashes from Maybelline as usual. And then for my face, I use the Do It spray to hydrate my face. Of course, I do that every single day, so I really don't need to say that every single time. I just use that to prep my face every single time I do my makeup. And then I went in with the NYX Marshmallow Primer. I forgot I wanted to use the Say Primer again today, but I had already had that pumped on my hands, so I was like, I'm not going to waste it. And then for my tinted moisturizer, this is my favorite. I think this is my favorite tinted moisturizer I own. And probably my favorite of all time is the Tower 28 SPF 30 Sunny Days Broad Spectrum Tinted Sunscreen. And this one's the shade 05 Fairfax. It just doesn't even feel like a sunscreen type of feeling. And I have used a lot of this. I am trying to use it up. I want to use up at least one tinted moisturizer this year, because the last tinted moisturizer I actually used up was the Pretty Fresh one from ColourPop. So once I use up this one, I really do want to repurchase the ColourPop one, but this one would also be a good repurchase as well. But I also want to try the Cali Ray one. So maybe after I use up this one, I'll purchase the Cali Ray one. And then for my concealer, I use the Hello Fab Bendy Avocado Concealer from First Aid Beauty. I got this at Marshall's like a while back, and this one was one of Leora Loves Makeup. Her name's Leora. This was like her all-time favorite concealer for like a long time, so I was inspired to pick it up because of her. And they had it like at a lot of Marshalls and TJ Maxx, and I found like a good shade for myself. And I really like this concealer. It is really nice. It looks really good underneath the eye, so I really like that one. And then for my powder, I use the Haus Labs Biotech powder, the Bio Blurring Loose Setting Powder in the shade Translucent. I wanted to use that again today. It's a really nice blurring powder, so I really like it. I'm still making up my mind about it. I'm not like 100% sure, but it does look really good with this concealer today. And then for my bronzer, I went in with one I haven't used in a while, and that's the Ilia Nightlife Bronzing Powder in the shade Drawn In. I keep on having this next to me, and I keep on forgetting to use it because I've just been using like my ColourPop or my Pat McGrath or the Milani one a lot. The Milani one is like one of my go-tos for the springtime, but I wanted to whip this one back out again. The scent that used to be in here is definitely faded, but it used to be like one of my favorite scents. But it's a really good bronzer still. I still really like it. It was one of my favorites for a while. And then for my blush, I went in with the one of the ones from the Wild Nothing collection from ColourPop. I haven't used this blush in a while, and I love this shade. This one is called Wayfarer. And it's such a stunning, like, peachy, orangey shade. Y'all know I love peachy everything. I love peachy blushes especially. I'm such a sucker for peachy blushes. And this one's one of my favorites in my collection. It's such a good blush. One of, like, my all-time favorite ColourPop blushes. And then for my highlight, I went in with probably my favorite highlighter of all time. Besides like the Rare Beauty and the Give Me Glow highlighters, this one's been my favorite for a long time. So I really wanted to whip this one out again. And this one is the Lancome Dual Finish Highlighter this is the Multitasking Illuminating Powder in the shade 05 Sparkling Peach. Look at how much pan I have in this. This one was like one of my first like putty kind of primers like this. But this one has such a stunning formula on the skin and it just looks so pretty. So I just wanted a peachy highlighter today and I remember how much I love this one. So I try to whip this out when I remember to, but also it's like still amazing and it still performs beautifully. So maybe that'll be a highlighter I actually use a lot up of, but I don't know if I'm going to use it up completely. And then for my brows, I just went in with my ColourPop Brow Boss Gel. And then for my lips, I just went in with the Haus Labs Le Monster Lip Crayon in the shade Peach Matte because I thought this would be a perfect lippy for this look. And with lipsticks, I've either just been going in with my go-to ones that are next to me lately, or like ones that are like from ColourPop. I really haven't been expanding my lipstick horizons in a while, but I really need to whip out some other ones. But I've just been on a kick of like my favorite everyday ones lately. So yeah, I will see you guys tomorrow for another look. Bye. I'm gonna go to my boyfriend's house. Bye. Okay, so hey guys, so I wanted to tell you guys about another look that I wore to work today. So I actually really liked how this look turned out, and I used a palette that I'm not really that crazy about with the color story, but the looks really do turn out really pretty. So I just primed my face with my Do It spray, and then I used my e.l.f. Hydro Grip Power Grip Primer. I primed my eyes with the Anastasia eye primer. This is the first time I've used the Anastasia eye primer with the palette that I'm about to tell you guys that I used. And then I just set it with the Dior powder. And then I just used my Dewdrop lip oil as usual. And then for my eyes, I used the Alice in Wonderland palette again by ColourPop. And I used quite a few shades. I kind of did almost a similar look to the first look that I did with this palette, but I used a different lid shade. So I just used Talking Flowers in the crease. Then I darkened up the crease more with Curiouser and Curiouser. And then I went in with this shade on the bottom, A-E-I-O-U, like the caterpillar, like A-E-I-O-U. So I used that shade on the lid, and it's a really pretty, like, purpley blue shade. I really like it. And then for the lower lash line, I went in with a couple of shades. So I used Very Merry on Birthday first on the inner corners. I was going to use a different shade. I was thinking about using the blue, but I just thought the pink would look so pretty. That was the shade I was originally going to use on my lid, but then I was like, this shade looks really pretty, so I really wanted to use it. And then for the lower lash line, I used Down the Rabbit Hole on the lower lash line, and I wanted to use that shade on my inner corners, but I decided to go in with the pink instead. But I did pop a little bit of that blue shimmer on the lower lash line, and it looked really pretty. And then I went in with Curiouser and Curiouser again on the rest of the lower lash line, and I think it turned out really pretty. I actually really liked how this look turned out. So I don't know. I guess this palette is surprising me more so than I thought it would. And I like the formula in here. It's just like some of the mattes are just so pale. And I just don't feel like there's enough like depth to them. But like, you know, like a darker shade to, you know, build up some depth and dimension. But it's really nice still. I still like the quality of it. So I'm kind of warming up to it. And then for my eye pencil, I used the Amethyst Hour ColourPop Cream Gel Liner. I wanted to use this color rather than the blue. I mean, I was thinking about using Prance again, but this one's a really pretty, like, lavender pink, so I thought that would be really pretty with it. And then for the mascara, I went in with the Fenty Beauty Hella Thick Mascara. I haven't used this in a few days, so I wanted to use it today, and I really like this mascara. It's really nice. And then I just went in with my lower lash Maybelline Lash Discovery and the Essence Lash Primer to prime my lashes. And then for the face, I used the Haus Labs Triclone Skin Tech Foundation in the shade 050 Fair Cool. I haven't used this in a little while, and I missed using it, so I wanted to use it for work today. And I love this foundation. It's so beautiful on the skin. And then for my concealer, I used the Urban Decay Naked Quickie Concealer. And I really like this concealer too. It held up pretty well. It just started creasing around like an hour or two ago. But this is a nice concealer. It doesn't last as long as my Tarte one, but I still really like this concealer. And it's very full coverage. And then for the powder, I went in with the House Labs Bio Blurring Loose Setting Powder because I really wanted to use it with the foundation, and it looked really nice together. I actually haven't paired those two together yet, so I was like, oh yay, I could do that today. And then to set the rest of my face, I just used the Dior powder again. And then for my blush, bronzer, and highlights, bronzer, I went in with my House Labs bronzer. This one is the Power Sculpt Velvet Bronzer in the shade Light Level 1. I also haven't used this in a little while, so since I wore my House Labs foundation, I wanted to use some of her other products. And then for the blush, I used the Alice Pink blush again. This is the shade Oh Dear. And this is a really pretty color, so I really like using this when I do like a pinky look with the palette, so I really like that. And then for the highlight, I went in with a loose highlighter from ColourPop. This is the Luster Dust in the Groove Loose Powder Highlighter. This came out with, I believe, the holiday collection or like a New Year's collection or something in like January of, why doesn't this come out? I think 2021. And this is such a stunning loose highlighter. It just looks so pretty on the skin. And it kind of has a bit of a pinky rose gold hue to it. And it's just stunning. So I was in the mood to use a loose highlighter today because I do like using them when I work sometimes. And it looks really pretty. I actually forgot to set my brows today, so I don't have anything in my brows, but it doesn't really matter that much. And then for my lips, I used such an old lip pencil, but I haven't used my MAC lip pencils in such a long time. Like, ever since I got my ColourPop Lippy Pencil set that I got, I think, last holiday, like holiday of 2022, I literally have not used, like, really any other lip liners besides, like, the occasional Lime Crime one, or the Pat McGrath one is the one I use the most besides the ColourPop ones. And so I was like, you know what? I kind of feel like using a MAC lip pencil today. So this is the shade Soar, and I haven't used this in forever, so I wanted to use that. And then I wanted to go in with the Fenty Beauty Fenty Velvet Liquid Lipstick in the shade Sea Sweetheart. I don't know if this was like a great shade to go with my eyes, but I kind of really liked it because it kind of tones down the eyes a little bit, and it does go with the shirt still, so I thought it looked really pretty. I really like it. And then I topped off the lips with the Alice lip gloss from the lip set in the shade Total Nonsense, and I thought it looked really pretty. So yeah, that is it. I don't know if I'm going to do another Alice look in this video. Probably not. By the time I'm done filming the looks for this video, I probably won't use that palette again until like maybe Wednesday or Thursday. So yeah, that's it. I'll see you guys tomorrow for the next one. Bye! Okay, so hey there guys. I wanted to tell you guys about another look that's on my face. So for my eyes, I used the ColourPop Eye Primer, and then I used the ColourPop Dewdrop Lip Oil, and then I used my ColourPop Pretty Fresh Powder, of course. And then for eyeshadow today, I used my House Labs Glam Room 1 palette. So for my eyes, I used this shade in the crease. Then I darkened up the crease more with this shade, and then I wanted to use the gold shade on the lid, but it kind of has some hard pan to it, and that is mostly my fault because when I use my glitter glue, sometimes I forget to wipe my fingers off before I go into a shimmer shade to put on my lid, because y'all know I use my fingers to apply my lid shade and also my glitter primer, so sometimes the glitter primer gets into the shimmer. So that's mostly my fault. So I tried to use that shade, but honestly, it wasn't really showing up that well. So I went in with this color instead. And this one is such a beautiful, like, light ivory, almost purpley shimmer. It's so pretty, like a really light, shimmery purple, like lavender almost. And then for the brow bone, I just went in with this shade. And then for the inner corners, I just went in with the gold. And that's all I used from the palette. And then I just went in with a dark brown from my single shadows just to add some depth. So I just used this dark brown. I believe this one is hot chocolate from Anastasia Beverly Hills. So I just went in with that guy because I didn't feel like getting up and reaching for anything else. And then for my liner, I just used the LA Girl brown liner, the Perfect Precision one. And then for the mascara, I just went in with the Wet n Wild Mega Length Mascara on the top and bottom lashes. And then I just, of course, used my Essence Lash Primer to prime. And then for my primer for my face, of course, I went in with the Do It for 3 Beauty Spray first. And then I just went in with my NYX Marshmallow Primer. And then for the face, I just went in with the e.l.f. Halo Glow Liquid Filter in the shade Shade 1 Fair, which is the lightest shade in the whole range, of course, because I'm pale as hell. And then I just went in with my Maybelline Dark Circle Eraser Concealer. And then for the setting powder, I just used my Rare Beauty one again. And then I just set my face with the ColourPop Pretty Fresh powder. And then for my bronzer, I used the Haus Labs Duo. This is one of her older duos. I used a couple different cheek palettes today. And I wanted to use the bronzer in here, and I used the shade Savannah. And I really like this bronzer still. I kind of forgot that I already owned a bronzer from Haus Labs, even though I picked up this one a couple of months ago. But they're both so good. And then for the blush, I decided to go into this ColourPop Cheek Palette Quad. This is the Sugar Frosted Cheek Palette. Oh my goodness. And for the blushes, there's actually shade names on the back. Highlighter is Jelly Roll. So I used the shade Hey Pudding and the vertical shade over here. I mixed these two shades together. So I used Hey Pudding and Trifle. So I believe this one is Cookie Crumble because Hey Pudding is diagonal to this shade, and that's how it's listed on the back. And they're really nice. I like this little quad. I originally was going to sell it, but I was like, you know what? It's actually like a decent quad. And I feel like no one's going to want to use like a Super Shock highlighter that has been sanitized because it's never going to perform the same. So I just decided to keep it. And then for my highlighter, I went into the highlighter that's in the Haus Labs Duo in the shade Sun. I really love the older highlight formula from Gaga. I think that these are way more worth the price than the newer ones, because somehow they are like just super intense but also like very wearable. And I just find that this formula is much more preferred to my taste than the newer ones. I know that the newer ones a lot of people like, but I just think that the intensity of these are way better, and they're just buttery smooth and gorgeous on the skin. I just didn't think that the newer one was like worth the price to me. And then I just set my face, of course, with the Do It spray again, and then I just went in with my ColourPop Brow Boss gel on my brows. And then for my lips, I just used the Haus Labs lip crayon in the shade Dust. I actually used the other lip crayon like just 2 days ago. But I'm not going anywhere today, and I wanted to use a few Haus Labs products today. So I use this lip color a ton. This is actually like one of my only lip products that I've repurchased because the last one that I had went bad after like a year or so. And I really wanted to get this shade again before she rebranded, because I don't think she carried over the exact shades to the new rebrand. And that's like one of my most used lip products in my whole collection. So yeah, I'm not going anywhere today. So I'm about to eat some lunch. So I will see you guys for another look tomorrow. Okay, so I just want to tell you guys about another look today on what's my face on, what's on my face today. So I decided to use, I just used my ColourPop eye primer as usual, and the Dewdrop lip oil, and the Pretty Fresh powder from ColourPop. And now I decided to go in with the Or Kid You Not palette by ColourPop today. I actually filmed this look in the Get Ready With Me, but I haven't used this palette in quite a while, and I'm trying to rotate ColourPop palettes I haven't used in a while, but also palettes in general in my collection that I would like to dip back into again. And I love this palette, and this was one of my most used palettes last year, and I just really haven't shown it some love this year. So I used Rebloom in the crease, then I darkened up the crease more with Moth, and then I put Nuh-Uh on the outer corners, and then I put Seedling all over the lid, and it's a really beautiful, like, dark purpley shimmer. And then I popped the shade Moth on the lower lash line, and then I put Pretty One on the inner corners, and that's what I used from the palette. And then, of course, I used Blanc Type on the brow bone from MAC. And then for my liner, where did I even put it? Where did I put the liner? All right, well, I used the shade Plum Smash from ColourPop, but for some reason I can't find it right now. It has like faulty packaging for some reason, so I wasn't really able to get it to be super vibrant on the lower lash line, but it still looks pretty. And then I just primed with my Essence Lash Primer, and then I just used my ColourPop Level Up Mascara on the top and bottom lashes. And then for my face, I of course used the Do It Spray, and then I just used the Say Super Glow Primer. What is this called again? Glowy Super Gel Star Glow Primer. I really love this guy. And then I went in with my Tarte C Water Foundation in the shade 8S Porcelain. I still love this foundation. It looks so beautiful on the skin. And then I used my Milani Conceal and Perfect Concealer in the shade 110 Nude Ivory. You all know how much I love this concealer. And then I just went in with my Rare Beauty powder to set my face. And then, of course, my Pretty Fresh powder again to set the rest of my face. And then for bronzer, blush, and highlights, where is it? Why can't I find anything to... Oh, it's right here. I used my Pat McGrath Labs bronzer in the shade Naked Desire. I just felt like using it today, and this is a beautiful bronzer on the skin. I really, really like it. And then for the blush and highlighter, I went in with the other two products that I have from the Or Kid You Not collection because I wanted to use them all together. So I used the shade Just My Pluck for my blush, and then for the highlighter, I used the Wild Orchid highlighter. This packaging is so big, but it really is a pretty highlighter. It has this really pretty, like, lavender purpley sheen to it, and it's just so pretty. It might look a little bit dark in person, but on camera it looks really pretty, so I don't care. I really, really like it. And then I just set my brows with my ColourPop Brow Blush Gel and just set my face again with the Do It Spray. And then for my lips, I went in with the Tower 28 Tinted Lip Balm in the shade Shake. Shade Shake. Say that 3 times fast. Shade Shake, Shade Shake, Shade Shake. And it's just a really pretty, like, light pinky nude. Light pinky, sheeny color, and it goes really nicely with the eyes. So yeah, I gotta get to my boyfriend's house. I'm really hungry, so I will see you guys for another look, maybe in this video or in the next one. Bye. Okay, so hey guys, so I wanted to tell you guys about another look on my face. So, I don't know why this is, like, weird though. Okay, there we go. There was, like, a smudge on the screen. So anyway, let's tell you about what's on my face. So I did work today, and I actually had a whole different palette in mind to use today, but it was actually really chilly today for some reason, so I decided to wear this floral gray sweatshirt. I really love this. It's super comfy, so I just wore this instead. So I just primed my eyes with the Anastasia eye primer. This one right here, and then I just used my ColourPop Dewdrop lip oil. And then to set my face, I used my Urban Decay Stay Naked powder. This one I do have a little pan on, so I really like this powder. And then for my eyes, I decided to go in with the Cosmic Brushes Muse palette today. I was going to use a different palette, but honestly, like, I just wanted to dip back into this palette again because it's so good, so I just decided to use this one. And it basically had all the colors in here that I wanted to use. So for my eyes, you'll be able to see this look better on Instagram if you guys follow me on Instagram. I just don't know why it's like doing that weird shiny thing. I don't know why. It's annoying. Sorry. Let me adjust it a little bit. Okay, I think that's better. So for my eyes, I used Petal in the crease. Then I dark up the crease more with Sweet Pea, and then I used Fig in the outer corners. And then for the lid shade, I used the shade Whisper because I wanted that hint of like lavender purple, and it's such a beautiful purple. I love it. And then I just used Blanc Type on the brow bone as usual from MAC. And then for the lower lash line, I went in with this shade Willow, and then for the inner corners, I used the shade Luster. And I really love how this look turned out. I think it looks super pretty. My makeup definitely looked better earlier, but I'm literally going to take it off, so I wasn't going to touch it up. And then for my liner, I used the shade Charmer from ColourPop. This is actually the only one that I actually have repurchased. But I actually don't think I like this one as much as the one that I had before, because this one's like a lot more dry. It's for some reason it's not as creamy. The formula consistency of the newer ones aren't really that great. I thought when they reformulated them that they would have like helped, you know, update the formula a little bit, but for some reason they're still not very consistent across the board, and that was my problem with the older formula, and I really don't think they changed much with the newer one. I don't think they're really that great, but it's a nice liner. And I just primed my eyes with the Essence Lash Primer, and then I used my Fenty Beauty Hella Thick Mascara. I'm still really enjoying this mascara. And then I just used the Lash Discovery by Maybelline on the lower lash line. And then for my primer, I just used my Fourth Ray Beauty Spray, and then I just used my e.l.f. Hydro Grip Primer, Power Grip Primer. I'm actually almost done with this one. I'm going to have to get a new one soon. And then for my foundation, I used the Makeup by Mario foundation again in the shade 1C. I really am enjoying this foundation. It is really nice. I really like the way that it wears. Like, my skin still looks good. I really like it. It's a nice foundation. And then for my concealer, I went in with my Tarte C Powerflex concealer. It did start creasing a little bit under here because my friend visited me at work and I was laughing, so ends up creasing my concealer. But I also wanted to wear that concealer because I hadn't tried it with the Haus Labs powder yet. And honestly, this powder, I'm not sure if it did it any favors. When I used the Pat McGrath powder with this, it holds up pretty well. So I think that this powder is better for like more lightweight concealers, but I really love how this powder looks for the first like couple of hours. Like, it still looked really good at like 4 or 5 o'clock when I checked the mirror at work. So it really was looking fine before this. And then I'm tired, sorry. And then for my bronzer, I went in with my Dior bronzer in the shade 04 Tan Bronze. I still really like this bronzer, and I wanted to whip it out again and use it. And then for my blush, I used the Haus Labs blush in the shade Hibiscus Haze. I wanted to whip that one out again because I haven't used it in a little while, and I just really wanted to use it today. And then for my highlighter, I went into this Kaleidos Lo-Fi Duo Blusher. And this one is the Lo-Fi Rose Duo. And I used the highlighter in the shade Bloom. And it's this really gorgeous, like, purpley pinky duochrome highlighter. And it looks stunning. It's still super intense. And then for my lips, I used the Soar lip liner from MAC again. I'm kind of super into it again. And then I just set my brows with the e.l.f. Wow Brow. And then I set my face with the Milk Hydro Grip Set and Refresh Spray. I always use this for work. I'm already halfway through this again. That's literally my 3rd bottle of it. That's like the only setting spray I use. And then for my lips, I went in with the Kaja Earhart lipstick in the shade 07 Lover. It's a really pretty, like, mauvey pink. It doesn't look that great now, but it definitely held up very well. It's a very matte lipstick, and it's a really pretty, like, mauve-y pink. So, yeah, that's it, you guys. I'll see you guys for another look tomorrow.